And now. Hey everyone, and welcome to Chef AJ Live. I'm your host, Chef AJ, and this is where I introduce you to amazing people like you who are doing great things in the world that I think you should know about. Well, today is day 2 of a special week of shows that are being co-hosted by Dr. Columbus Batiste, where we are celebrating and honoring Black History Month. So to introduce today's guest is Dr. Columbus Batiste.
Hello, hello, hello. It's good to see you again, Chef AJ. Thank you so much.
Yesterday was so great. I don't know how we can top this.
Well, we have the ingredients to top that. Sorry, Milton. We have the ingredients to top that because we have a fabulous person with us, right? So I'm excited. I'm excited. You know, I have to, for those who didn't tune in yesterday, I mean, here's the thing. AJ is extremely generous person and huge support. And I tell this story all the time. And Jasmine, you have to kind of hear this a little bit before we dive into your excellence of what you are, is that AJ, from the moment I first met her and I went out and I started on this venture, I was a physician, I was an interventional cardiologist. And I said, you know what, I need to make a change, but I need to be able to tell my patients exactly what to do in this realm. Even though I grew up Southern style and cooking from New Orleans with my folks. I went there, she treated me like royalty. And since then, she's been a tremendous support. She's always been an advocate for diversity, an advocate for respecting everyone, irrespective of how they look, how they were born, what they choose to do, but respect, respect, respect. And for that, man, you can't ask for anyone, a better co-host than her.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Well, I feel like I won I feel like I lucked out having you.
But I'm saying though, we have Jasmine Leyva. I don't know, folks out there, if you have witnessed the greatness of this young lady and what she's done already in her career in terms of producing this film. Tell me if you have not seen Invisible Vegan, an incredible, incredible film. And I'll tell you, I'm gonna drop a little something with that, is that I was so impressed. I was so impressed with that film that I was mad. It had me mad because I was like, when I went between your film and this brother right now who's joining the show, I was like, there's no more work for me to do. I had all these big grandiose ideas to transition out of medicine. And after watching you guys' stuff, I was like, man, this is incredible. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I can't wait to dig into that. And so thank you, Jasmine, for being here.
Thank you. And you know how to give an introduction. Like even the way you said my name, like, sir, I felt it in my heart. Thank you.
Man, it's good. It's good to see you. And John, how are you, sir? We can't.
I hope he's here because I wore a very special shirt that I really can't wear too many other places.
You can't hear us? You may have to go.
Oh, that's the same thing that happened to me.
You may have to log out and log back in. That's, don't we love technology? Yeah. I'm gonna tell you, technology is incredible, but it's also the bane of our existence at times. But, I mean, we're going to dig into it. I'm going to wait for John to kind of join on and everything like that to really kind of dig into some of this stuff that, like I said, I had to do my homework. Medical school was no joke. And so I had to do my homework on you guys. And I called up some FBI friends and some police officers to dig a little dirt on you. I couldn't find anything.
Oh, I mean, my mom did work for the FBI, so
whatever
you find, it would have been redacted.
Nice. That's always good to have in your back pocket. That's good to have. All right, so some basic stuff while we wait for John to show if John's able to kind of get the connection. How long have you been vegan?
Oh, you know what? I'm not good like the other vegans who know like their vegan-versary. Because I started, me and veganism, we were like, on and off again boyfriend. It was like I started like 17 years ago. And then it was like we were on and off, on and off. And then for the last maybe, I want to say 7-8-ish years, we just been on. We had a smooth run.
All right. Well, every relationship has a little rocky road, right? Not the ice cream before you. Yeah,
change doesn't happen overnight all the time.
That's right. That's right. No, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. No, I feel you for sure because I am a recovered sugarholic and junk foodaholic. So it's good to be here. John.
I think we're working now.
Oh my goodness.
Man, I'm in the universe.
I'm gonna tell you, bro, that was right there. That was a movie star entrance. You came in just on time, and I appreciate you. How you doing?
I'm good, man. How everybody else doing?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. For those of you out there who don't know John Lewis and Chef AJ, just remembering Chef AJ has granted me access to her show, and she's a phenomenal individual. And so she reached out, and we have two incredible storytellers with us today. I call them storytellers. They like to call themselves filmmakers. I like to call them storytellers because they tell a story that's
back
incredible.
Back in the day, when my mom used to say storytelling, that means we was lying.
That's right. Well, y'all didn't lie. Y'all didn't lie. It's like any of your stuff at all. That's huge. That's huge. But I mean, AJ was kind of talking to me, and she said, what do you want to title this show? What do you want to title this show? And what are you thinking? And I was kind of sitting there. I dropped my son off to school. John, I mean, I think he's 15. He's almost your height. He's about your height. He's about 6'3". He's like towering over me and everything like that, bumps up against me every time I see him. And so, it hit me. It's like telling our stories. And so, because you're storytellers. And so what I was so amazed with, I have to tell you, I started telling Jasmine about what her film did for me, in terms of this blend. And I hope you're okay with my characterization. It was like the collision between like Friends and like dope energy, Black Friends, dope energy, this kind of like education and touching on every aspect, this collision. It was like a flavor burst in my senses, And so it was incredible. And then when I turned and I watched John's, they're trying to kill us. Man, it sent chills down my spine. Growing up, it resonated with me. I grew up inside of South Central LA. I grew up in Compton. I mean, my folks, they did everything they could to kind of send me out and give me a better life and everything like many of us experience. And so watching they're trying to kill us and watching all the aspects, we're going to dig into it. Man, I'll tell you, it told the story like no one else could tell the story from the different vantage points. So thank you both for what you did. For sure.
Appreciate that. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
and I always give homage to Jasmine because like she was the pioneer for what I did with my story. I even reached out to her when I started making my story. And we always laugh about it because people are always like, she told me people were reporting to her, like, somebody trying to make a movie like yours. And she was like, I already know about it.
Oh man. No, I love it. I love it. Because you know what? I mean, tell me movie making isn't like, how many superhero movies are there? Right? And there's always a good guy, a bad guy, a villain, and the good guy wins in the end unless there's a sequel. So why can't we tell a similar story different ways multiple times?
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and they're very similar in a sense, but then they're very different in a way that almost feels like yin and yang. Like there's this masculine energy and then there's this feminine energy, and he's hitting on like, violence and all these things that I didn't really go through as a Black woman. And then, I'm talking about my vaginal issues. I'm guessing John didn't go through that as a man. So it's like, it's something for everybody when you combine the two. So I don't even look at it as competition. I look at it like, no, I'm honored to be, on the same, doing the same thing as John. It's great.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's for sure. And John, I gave Jasmine a little heads up. I'm pitching an idea to both of y'all, all right, for a movie. And I just want credit that I pitched it first here on Chef AJ's show. That's going to transform. We're going to blow up the world with this one. I'm going to tell you at the end of the show here. But, Jasmine, tell me, what made you decide to tell your story? What made you decide to tell your story your way when you were kind of going down this road?
So I moved out to LA, and when and I'm from DC. So DC, is majority Black. Well, then it was majority Black. And then when I came out to LA, became vegan, I was telling my friends back home, like, hey, y'all need to get up on this vegan lifestyle. Like, I'm feeling so much better, my energy, my health. And they weren't hearing it. They kept racializing my choices. Like, you moved to LA, now you on this white people stuff. And I'm like, why do they keep racializing veganism? And I started looking at all the vegan media, and I just kept seeing like white girl after white girl after white girl. I was like, oh, that is why. And so I just decided to, I was already working in TV, and I decided to use my skills to just be the change that I wanted to see and make something that would be palatable and help like people that I care about understand why veganism is legit.
Yeah, and that came through. I could feel that. I could feel that because it didn't seem like you were faking it, because you had your friends that you knew from high school in there and kind of going through, and the evolution was organic, and you telling your story from your own vantage point. And that's dope. It's all about the vantage point. John, though, for you though, I mean, one of the things I wanted to understand is we all have different, sometimes when people look at people of African descent, you see a monolith. They think like, oh, all Black people the same, right? No, and we're all different, some
All
from the
different.
Caribbean. Yeah, man. And so your story is a little bit different. So how did your experience growing up uniquely shape you and your approach towards your film? Tell me about that.
And like Jasmine pretty much touched base on, I feel that like we all have the same storyline, but a different story, if that makes sense. I think we all go through some kind of trauma just being a Black person in America. It's just going to be, it may be a different story. Like mine was, I was born to a mother that was addicted to crack, and I was obese, and I went through the drugs and the gangs and all the different things. So it was a different ball game, but it was still a trauma that a lot of other races don't go through. You know what I'm saying? Even though, let's just say Jasmine didn't go through that, she understands when I talk about it, because it's part of our matrix. If I talk, you tell me you grew up in Compton, I'm like, oh, you know what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Even if you are from, I don't know, maybe Beverly Hills, but you're Black, there's a story that went down your family pipeline where somebody told a story about something that they went through. You know what I'm saying? Even to get to Beverly Hills, they went through something that another race probably didn't go through. And this is not a racist thing. That's just facts.
Yeah.
So for me, I felt like I had to tell a story that was relatable. I didn't want to sugarcoat it. I felt like there was enough sugarcoating going on. Like, hey, you should go vegan because animals love it. And you should go vegan because, it's going to help the economy. It's going to help the world. It's like, no, what if it helped us? We forget about that aspect. If we're the minority per se in this country, but we're dying at the fastest rate than anybody. But what's always portrayed on the news and the media is, the gun violence and this and that, which that's definitely a problem. But what if we take a real look at what we're putting in our system? And that's where it influenced me, because, watching my family history of, things that were going wrong and family members dying, friends dying, and even worse, it's funny, but not funny, but being at funerals, and when it's time to eat the food, and then the food comes out and it's the same food that the person just died from. I'm like, wait a minute, like, I hate to admit it, I was at my uncle's funeral, and everybody's talking about like, man, if he would have just changed the way he ate, it could have been, if he just ate this way. And it was like, as soon as they said food's ready, it was like the conversation dropped. And I'm just sitting at the table by myself, and I'm like, and I look over there, and now listen, it wasn't even like, it was like somebody in the back slaving in the kitchen. It was straight up Popeyes and like,
Wow.
and like high C juice and all this kind of stuff. I'm like, y'all literally just was talking about Unc over here, and y'all just, and I'm the only vegan at the funeral. And I'm just like, I'm gonna just chill out and just sit right here and watch. Like, that's it.
John, question, was the Popeyes like still in the Popeyes box?
In the box?
What's it?
No. Actually, it wasn't in the box still. It was still in the bag. Then they had to take out the bag and put it in the box. They put it on the table. So
the greasy bag, the greasy soak bag.
Okay.
Yeah, the plastic bag. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. So what's the craziest, Jasmine? What's the craziest interaction you had after you finally decided you're going vegan with family, friends, or anyone like that in the community?
The craziest?
Yeah.
I wouldn't say anything, like nothing really crazy, because my family, like, they're cool. And even when they came for me, it was from a joking place. So it wouldn't be crazy. It would just be more so like jokes. Like, they bring out the turkey and it's like, oh, skip Jasmine, she want the rabbit food, that kind of thing. Yeah. But the one thing I hated when people do, this isn't people coming for me, but when I would want to go to a function, they'd be like, Jazz, we got you. We're going to have a vegan option. And I get there and I'm like, that is iceberg lettuce and tomatoes. Like, is that?
At least they
it's
ain't soaking in
organic
ranch
though.
dressing.
It's organic though.
Right. Like, it's vegan.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious. John, what about you?
I mean, I've gone through it all, man. Like I've gone to family reunions and I just bring my own food. And so I've been, I don't know if my cousin will ever see this, but I remember being at one of the family reunions and I'm sitting down eating and I literally have my plate because I bring my own plate. I just know better before I even come to the event. I do. But I ask anybody, hey, y'all want something? When I go to Whole Foods, they're like, no, cool. Don't ask for none of my food when I sit down because I'm not sharing. And I'm sitting there and I'm eating. My cousin's like, ugh, what's that? And I'm like, you mean the asparagus? Like literally, she had never seen asparagus before. And I can't laugh too much because before I went vegan, I wasn't really well versed on it. So, you know, it's just, I have a very supportive family. They're just still scared. I mean, my family not from Arkansas owns the #1 barbecue restaurant in all of Arkansas and Tennessee. So in their head, they're still stuck in this, we got to have meat, you know, this and that. And I was a butcher at one point myself. So I know how my family sees it, but then every now and then they'll slide behind. I'm sure this happens to Jasmine. I'm sure this happens to you. Like they'll talk noise in front of everybody else, but then they'll be like, hey man, so I'm trying to get healthy. What should I do? But that's in private. In public, they laughing at you. They join in the crew. But in private, they're like, what do we do about this here? You know, my doctor said this. So yeah.
Wow. No, I definitely can relate to that. That's crazy. So the one thing I want to know, because I mean, you both brought this out. I've heard you mention this in times past, John and Jasmine. I know you brought this out inside the film. You know, what's the perception inside and outside the Black community, right, about that being vegan is a white thing? That's a white thing. Yeah, I mean, where do you think that stems from? I mean, I've had both sides. I remember telling this guy once I had really adopted and incorporated into my practice that, listen, you need to eat these green leafy vegetables. And he looked at me and said, that's Black people food. And I said, what? I said, what? Because I told him about collards and spinach and kale and mustards. And he looked at me and said, that's Black people food. I said, I didn't know there was a racial that food was ascribed to a race. You know, I have to kind of take a different approach inside my office. But anyway, I mean, where this whole thing, what's your take on this in terms of your interaction with people?
Jazz, I can see you ready to go. Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, I'm glad because I feel like now it's getting so much better. You know, veganism is becoming trendy. So you're seeing all different like body types, genders, races, like everybody's sipping the Kool-Aid to an extent now. But before, I think it just felt like, you know, the white vegan mainstream movement, they kind of took ownership of it. Not even in just the way they presented it, but they also wanted people to go vegan for their reasons. And I think that was part of the turnoff for a lot of people of color. Like it was this like, you know, all the videos, like you need to go vegan for the animals and a lot of people in the Black community, I'm not gonna say Black people don't care about animals because, you know, that's not the truth, that's generalizing. But I will say that in the Black community, people care more about their grandmother with diabetes than they do about a chicken. So again, since you had people taking ownership and wanting you to do it for their reasons, it's like it kind of just got branded as like, oh, okay, that's a white thing, that's their thing that they're fighting for.
And to go right along with what Jasmine's saying is that, you know, I say it all the time, is that that's why my film is the way it is, because again, not generalizing, not saying that Black people don't care about animals, that don't care about the earth, but humans in general have one trait that no other animal on the planet has, and that's selfishness. And if you don't appeal to that selfishness and appeal to that, you know, need to stay alive, then if you are not actively listening to your crowd, if your crowd tells you, hey, you know, I was thinking about going vegan because I want to be healthy, and you go, you know what, you should go vegan because the animals, you literally just lost that person. You didn't actively listen to them, you know. And that happens so much. Like I post tons of videos, as y'all probably know. I post tons of videos, tons of things appealing to people and their health, because the animals at the end of the day, excuse my language, Chef AJ, they don't give a fuck why you went vegan as long as you're not killing them. They really don't care. At the end of the day, animals don't care why you went vegan. It's just like Black people don't care if why the police stop killing them. They just care that they don't kill them. It doesn't matter if it's a law. It doesn't matter if their heart changed. It doesn't matter if they got more money out of it. As long as they stop doing it, that's the main cause. So that's why I do it. And then you just got to appeal to those people. So that's like the main reason why I take that approach. Now, don't get me wrong, I do sprinkle some animal rights in here. I sprinkle some human rights in there. I sprinkle all these things in there. But you have to understand that you have to appeal to the actual crowd that you're trying to appeal. If you come with a blanket statement, it'll never work, you know? So that's why I think there's been a big problem with the whole white veganism thing, because veganism has been around forever. It just got a name around a certain time. It was just, you didn't eat animals. You had Rastafari, you had so many different, you had Jainism, you have all these different forms of it. You got Buddhism that doesn't do it. So there's so many different
You got to break
forms.
that down for people who may not know what any of those things are.
Okay, so Rastafari is, and I'm not going to be like the end all be all pro on this, but Rastafari is more of a religion that believes in Ital, which is living from the land, living from the earth. So they don't believe in killing animals. Now, it's progressed over time, and you will find some people that are Rastafari that still do eat animals. But people that have been scared of Black people that's scared of tofu ain't never been to Jamaica and had some jerk tofu yet, because that is off the chain. Jamaica's been eating tofu for centuries. You know what I'm saying? And it's some cats out in Jamaica, 60 years old, looking like they built like a 20-year-old. You know what I'm saying? Like, ain't got nothing to do with no man boobs, nothing like that. Jainism is and I'm sorry, I don't mean to take up all the time, but a crazy story how I even found out about Jainism. I'll say that for last. Buddhism is religion. That's probably one of the most popular religions out there. But for the most part, they actually practice fasting, which fasting for some reason is like, oh, it's this new age cult thing. And people think it's, I'm like, dude, fasting's been around since the beginning of time. You think people ate 24 hours a day? You know, back in the day, they barely could find food, you know, so that's something else. So Jainism, I learned this. I was on an airplane coming back from LA to Miami, and I was tired. I was taking the red eye, and it was this guy sitting, he gets on the plane. I got the window seat. I always get the window seat because I'm just want to fall asleep. And the guy's on with his two twins. And he says, man, I'm so sorry, man. My daughter would, she gets very scared on the planes, and she would love to have the window seat. I hate to bother you. Can I please have the window seat for her? And I never forget, I gave him this look, and I tried not to, but my instinct was like, you, and I'm like, and I looked at the little girl, and I'm like, sure, man. So now I'm on the aisle seat. I'm all the way on the aisle because, of course, he got to sit by his daughters. And so, and his wife and the two other daughters were sitting behind us. So he's trying to spark conversation. I'm kind of reluctant at first. And then as time goes on, the conversation starts going. And so he asked me if I wanted some of the snack bag. He had just freshly opened it. Now, mind you, this is 10 years ago, probably 10, 11 years ago. And he goes, would you like some of these snacks? I'm like, I was like, I looked at it, I was like, oh, I got to be careful because I'm vegan. He said, oh, man, you're vegan? He said, I was actually raised vegan. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. My religion and all this. I never asked his religion growing up. Then he started talking about Jainism. And I never heard of Jainism before that. For anybody, you can Google Jainism. Jainism the religion is actually older than Buddhism. It's been around forever. And so at the end of the conversation, we really started hitting it off. Everything's going cool. And never asked his name. At the end of the conversation, he goes, what's your name? I'm like, oh, John Lewis. He's like, oh, like the civil rights leader. I'm like, yeah, but no religion. No relation. He goes, I said, what's your name? He goes, Vip Jain. He was actually a descendant of the original Jains that started the religion. Now, mind you, if I would have been a jerk and never gave up that seat, because I was at the point where I was not going to give up that seat, I wouldn't have learned. I probably would have learned about Jainism later on, but I wouldn't have had that kind of connection with the religion. And it really, I'm not religious at all, but when I say I really relate to that, like they even go back as far as like they would sweep the land before they walk. The original Jains, like they would sweep the land because they didn't even want to step on bugs. They really believe in the reincarnation and all that stuff. So veganism, before it got coined as a name, has been around forever. It's been whitewashed.
Dope story. I love that. I love that. Yeah, I mean, I'll just add to the conversation just a little bit. You know, when I look at this, and it really struck me when I went and I gave a lecture in Jamaica and some other spots, and they weren't really affluent. And I'm sitting here and I'm coming at them, telling them you should do this, this, and this. And you look at what is the fundamental needs, what's the Maslow's needs, hierarchy of needs for someone. And so when you look at this idea and the concept of privilege and wealth and the ability, and I'm struggling to make ends meet, I'm struggling to just stay alive, I'm struggling to find a job. And my care and concern perhaps for animals may not be that way, because I could tell you stories from growing up that I won't tell because I don't want to offend anyone from living inside the city, right? And so that wasn't the concern where I grew up, and not necessarily my family, but neighbors and everything else like that. So I think I think what you both have said in terms of kind of knowing your audience and speaking when we're speaking. And once again, African-American culture is not a monolith. It's not just one segment. You have different financial strata, you have different education, but you have one commonality, which is the color of your skin, right? And so that doesn't afford you to escape certain things at times.
Yeah, you gotta know your crowd. And I failed to mention this, and I meant to mention it the first time, is that, you know, a lot of times when you talk to African American people, the reason why they don't relate to the animal welfare side is because we feel like we've been treated as animals in this country. So it's like, why am I gonna put this animal before me? Because this government treats me worse than some of those animals. And that's hard to say for a lot of people to understand. But if you look at the systematic approach of it, yeah, it's hard for them to see that because they feel like they are part of that group.
That's real talk, because I mean, I get that all the time. It's just like the perception is that when you say that you're vegan, it's like, well, you care more about animals than you care about humans. And that's not, exactly. And they're not, and care for animals isn't mutually exclusive for care for humans, but it's really the way in which you show that love, which is a key component. How you show that love, are you only showing the love, demonstrating it to animals versus humans? So anyway, you know, that's deep stuff. But you know, one of the things I saw too as well is that you both touched on a little bit more different things. John, you touched on a little bit more in terms of social determinants of health and food deserts and food swamps and standard American diet. And I think that plays a role in, because Jasmine, you touched on the end part of that, when you kind of demonstrated to your group of friends that, you know what, it tastes good. And they were tasting the mousse and they're like, oh, okay, this actually tastes good. Okay, I can get down with this, and I can actually work out and have stuff. And the chef was showing them, and you showed the other end in terms of how taste buds are shattered and all that stuff with social determinants of health. So talk a little bit more about that and your experience and some of the things you've done even outside the movie in trying to kind of break that cycle, you know, with some of the devastation of passing through the gateway. It seems like there's a gateway of arches that go into every single hood, every single inner city that we all are very familiar with, the Golden Arches.
Yeah. I'll let you go, Jazz. You're good at starting it off.
Hold on. So I'm sorry, like, can you minimize the question a little bit?
Yeah, just tell me about your experience, like in terms of getting folks to really transition or being willing to try foods that are healthful for them. You know, okay. I mean, I think that's really the thing, because we're all kind of in this cycle where we eat these foods and they get the bliss point. We love the sugar, the salt, the fat, and we keep going after them. And how you get them to transform?
So I think one thing I do is, you know, I practice humility. Like, I look at it like, you know, Jasmine, you're the CEO of Jasmine. I know what I've read that led me to my choices. Whoever I'm talking to, I look at it like I'm talking to another CEO. They've read their own information. They've made their own choices. So if I come at them like I'm the CEO of their person, automatically that's creating a disconnect. So I come at people, like, even when people come to my home, like, I hear some vegans say like they won't have any meat in their home. I completely understand that. But at the same time, like, if I'm trying to show people something new and I'm trying to put people onto a new lifestyle, I don't think they're going to be receptive if I disrespect theirs. So whatever you feel like you need to nourish yourself, I'm going to have that for you when you come to my home. But what I'm going to do is like, I'm going to have that one thing, but then I'm going to have all my little cool vegan dishes too. And it always happens like they eat their food, then they start eating my food like, oh, Jazz, those vegan cheese scallops you had, can I have the recipe for that? And before you know it, like I didn't come at them like a used car salesman trying to push something on them that they might not necessarily want. It's just like I just came at them like they were my equal. They tasted the food for themselves, and now they have questions. And even when there's a argument, or when people want to start something with me, like they'll come for me with with my vegan shit and try to get into a debate. And I don't take the bait. They'll be like, nah, but meat does this, this, and this. And I'm just like, okay, well, if that's the way you feel, like, do what's best for you. And then when people see you respond like that, sometimes that's when they'll become more interested, because they be like, oh yeah, I like Jazz as a person. Like, I'm interested in whatever she's doing because it seems to be working for her, not only on a health level, but on a spiritual level. So
living by example.
Yeah.
Living by example. I say that all the time. I go live. I try to go live at least once a day, on Instagram. And I always say that, I'm thankful. I'm so thankful that people like share my page with people and they tell people, oh, this guy here, he's in shape and he's vegan. I'm like, yeah, but at the end of the day, I'm a Loch Ness monster. Jasmine's a Loch Ness monster. Columbus, you're a Loch Ness monster. Even Chef AJ, Loch Ness monster. They don't know us from Adam. They think we're a mythical creature on the internet. I said, if you want to show people how healthy, happy, and energetic and great this lifestyle is, guess who has to be that example? The person right in front of them. You got to be that person. So like, if you're trying to get your friends and family to go vegan, but you out of shape, you angry, you pissed, you bashing on everybody that's not vegan, why they want to be a part of that? You gotta turn that table, and you gotta be that person. Like, I have a great example of a friend that I've known since literally elementary school. Talked about me being vegan. I mean, like dirt. Just talking about me vegan every chance she got. We were at my frat brother's wedding, and I'm that guy. I don't drink no more. I stopped drinking in '08. I'm just happy-go-lucky. I'm out there having a good time. Randomly, I get an email after his wedding, and she's like, all right, John, I'm tired of this. You always the most energetic, happiest person, no matter what. I don't care what's going on. I'm ready to start this vegan stuff. Now, mind you, I never pushed it on her. I never pressed it on her. And I'm not one of those people either. I do believe that, and this goes to your question, Columbus, as far as how do I get people to go? I'm not that person that shies away from people that aren't vegan. I know some people that are vegan, they're like, oh, I can't be around them. I can't do this. I can't do it. I was like, if you're actually trying to impact these people and help them, you got to be around them. I'm not religious at all, but what religious leader do you know doesn't go around the people he's trying to help? If he's really trying to help, or he or she trying to help. And I'm not saying it's religion, but if you're trying to help the people, I don't care what it is, you got to go to the people. A lot of times, whether it's veganism, finances, education, whatever it is, we get on top of this hill and we look down at everybody else that doesn't have what we got. And we're like, hey, y'all need to come up here with me. And then they're like, I don't even know how to get up there. We're like, well, you need to figure it out. No, you got to go back down there, show them, hey, I'm from where you from, but I'm going to show you how to get back up here. If you ain't ready to go, I'll come back later. But I'm going to take these people with me right now. But I'm going to come back and get you later on. I'm going to check on you. And I think that's one thing we have to do is we have to humble ourselves and understand that we have to be that example to help these people out. And I think that's what's helped me out. And believe me, I had that little run where I was this egotistical, everybody ain't vegan, that you ain't crap, don't even talk to me, vegan this, vegan that. And I had the same wedding that I went to. That frat brother was like, hey, bro, I got to be honest with you, man. You coming off too harsh. And I'm like, no, man, I'm trying to help the people. He's like, but you're not helping anybody. And I said, how you know I'm not helping anybody? He said, because ain't nobody listening. And that was like the dagger here. He twisted it and pulled it out. And I was like, you talk about where somebody hit you with something and you ain't even got to come back. I was like, but dang, that was deep. I was like, oh man. And I don't even think he was trying to be deep. It's just the way he laid it out. It just made sense. He's like, you ain't helping nobody because nobody's listening to you. There you go. So yeah.
No, that you both are right. You both are right, and I mean, I see that on a regular basis. You know, I always kind of describe myself as like that running back that's trying to look for the hole. I'm not going to pound a running back that pounds the hole. They're not going anywhere. You wait, you dance around, you look for the right timing, and then you go in once the hole is there and they're receptive to you.
You got to be that Barry Sanders.
That's right.
Yeah. and then honestly, like, again, not generalizing, but it's common in our community. Like, you can't really come at us a certain way. You know, all that attitude and like, I'm gonna argue you down. And, you know, we just like, we gonna miss the whole point of what you're saying, because it's like, who the fuck you talking to? Like, like, absolutely. And I think Lil Wayne said it best when they were talking about him and the codeine or whatever that was in his cup. And I remember he commented, he was like, I don't care if it's heroin in my cup, it's my cup. And I think that same spirit is in a lot of Black people. Like, we need our agency. Like, you can't take our agency away from us. You can't disrespect us and then think we're gonna follow whatever you're doing. Like, you have to just come with respect. So.
And to go along with what you're saying, just like, and that goes with us too, though. Like, I guarantee you, while we're saying all this nice and friendly stuff, you ain't just gonna come to Jasmine no twisted way either. She gonna let you know, like, the same way with me. Like, I'm all nice and have, like, they didn't call me badass for no reason. Like, I'm nice, I'm go lucky. But if you come at me twisted, I'm gonna let you have it. But I never started. My mama told me, you better not start nothing, but you better finish it. And I've been finishing it for 44 years, and I'm gonna keep on finishing. Like, that's just how it is.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, and I'll be honest. I live in my skin, and so inside of my world of medicine, we talked about this with Bill Mills yesterday a little bit, but I'm not gonna even go there into some of the stuff. I have to hit them in such a way that they know never to step to me, and it's in a very professional way, but where they know they're being read. And they understand what's going down in that moment. And it's important. It's important to kind of set boundaries and to be respectful, because I mean, I used to always joke and say, listen, you don't talk about religion, don't talk about politics, don't talk about someone's mama, and you don't talk about somebody's food. Yeah, you don't talk about somebody's food. There's 4 things you don't talk about. And I'd always say, but I'm gonna inch on the food just a little bit. That's it.
Yeah.
And it's funny because sometimes the things that people want to avoid talking about, like, that'll be the thing that gets people. Like, you're going into this whole soliloquy about like animal justice, and all you had to say is, hey, you know, Beyonce tried that diet, and and then that be the one line that gets you tried right there.
There was an event in North Carolina, and this lady, like, she came to hear me speak, but she got there late. So I'm doing the hug the baby, take the picture, this, before masks and everything, everybody taking pictures. And so she waited patiently, and she's like, I really wanted to talk to you because I had this situation. I've had ovarian cancer twice, and they think it might be coming back a 3rd time. I've had surgery twice, and the doctor keeps telling me to eat more meat and eat more protein and this and that. And I'm like, and so I'm actively listening though. Like, I'm listening to everything. She's like, I got 2 kids and they mean the world to me, and it would be the end of me if I knew I left them behind and this and that. And so we built like a rapport. We were there for like 20 minutes talking, building this rapport. And I'm listening. Like, she kept mentioning the kids and they mean the world to her. And I said, so what's holding you back from switching it? And she's like, it's just, I was raised this way. I'm like, but how is this way working for you? And she's like, it's not working the best, but I just have this fear. I said, okay, you got a fear. And this is when, just like what Jasmine said, it's knowing your audience. I go, okay, so have you figured out who's your best friend? Like, who's your best friend in this world? And she was like, who's my best friend? I was like, yeah. I was like, because if you don't want to change and you've seen that nothing else is working, I mean, you got to know who you want to leave your kids with. And her face the way she looked at me, and like the tears started forming in her eyes. It started forming in mine too. And she goes, that was it. She was like, nobody talked to me like that. I said, because nobody actively listened to you. They were just telling you, this is the textbook, do it this way. And then if it was a vegan, they were like, this is it, this is this way. You got to find your why. That's your why. If your kids mean that much to you, if your health means that much to you, if your grandma's health means that much to you, if you want to be around for your kids, whatever it is, your why has to be stronger than your excuse. And I found her why. And as soon as I did that, she was like, yeah, that was it. She was like, I guess I didn't need to hear your speech. I was like, well, that was it. But you got to, and believe me, it was a touchy subject to use it, but I knew that's what she needed to hear.
Now that I'm gonna tell you, man, there are trained professionals who have not been able to develop that skill of not only active listening, but also being able to have a degree of empathy to understand and when to intervene and when to interject. So bravo to you, man. That's incredible. Because I'll tell you, that's a failure of our system. That's a failure of the medical system, right? That you're in this rat race of this rapid, hey, let's roll through like a revolving door of patients where there's no time to listen because we're not allowing you to talk. And there's no time to do anything else to really try and enact behavioral change. So yeah, no, that's deep. You changed the life.
How is that now for you? Like, is that a big thing where like you have a time limit now that you can talk to patients in a sense?
I personally don't. So I have the good fortune of being the specialist. So when I go in, I set the table on my own. So I get all the nonsense out the way. I won't call it nonsense. I read everyone's chart. And the crazy part is before I even see them. So I don't know if you all are familiar with like Tom Cruise's movie, The Minority Report.
Yeah.
So it's
like knowing beforehand.
It's back in the day. It's like they would go back and stop the crime before it happened. And so I swear to all goodness, I was on call this past week and I meet this 62-year-old African-American man who had a history of high blood pressure. So I started digging through his records back 10, 20 years. And I find a note where he saw a cardiologist, his kidney function was fine. His blood pressure was through the roof high. He wasn't taking the meds, no mention of anything. And now fast forward, he has heart failure. He needs to have a transplant. He has all these ailments that are going on. And I sit there all the time thinking to myself, and what if I can go back in time and really listen to him and give him the opportunity to realize that there's a better way, that you have an opportunity to change the shape of your future. And the crazy part, and both of you brought this up, is that in your movie, is that when our community that has this huge health disparity, this health disparity doesn't just affect us, because now you have fathers that are lost early in life. That affects the financial strata for the family, mothers that are lost early in life, that affects the financial strata and the development of people, of the kids and the family. And if you have a chance to intervene there, you can change a whole generation of people and uplift them. And that's why what you all are doing is way superior than what anyone with a white coat and a stethoscope could ever do one day in their life, because you're telling the story of change. And that's powerful. It really is. It's a form of activism. It's really what it is. Y'all are going in. I mean, you're keeping your namesake, John, and you doing it. You're doing it, Jasmine, too, as well. I mean, you guys are doing it. So just had to take a little tangent to reflect and give that appreciation to you guys. But speaking of activists, right? And you all are activists. You may not say that you are, but you're activists, right? Because you're enacting change, right? And so who would you say is like your this intersection between lifestyle, nutrition, and activism there? You know, who's your favorite person in history? Who would you most, if you could go back and meet, who would you meet, whether or not they were plant-based or not? Who would you go back and meet? Anyone in history?
I'll start this now, Jazz. I would say I would love to go meet whoever in my bloodline was brought over here first. And get to know like the fear, what they were doing before they came here. Like I don't think we really dive into that a lot. Like we just think that, you know, because we talk about it, you know, would it be a Black History Month or whatever, we talk about like, it's not that we were just slaves. There was a whole life over there before that. You know what I'm saying? Like, what were you doing before this shit happened? What lifestyle, what family did you have? You know, because I've done my like DNA and you know, like some people, they question and all that, but I've really dived into it, not just the swabs, but I've done research, because that was going to be a big part of the film too. That was just going to be costly. Like we were already at a big budget. Like I was going to go back to Africa and like really trace it and really show the history of our eating and all this stuff. And through my looking, and this got me, like, I didn't even notice until about a year ago. Like, I got family like in Barbados, which I never would have connected the boat, you know, you know, we talk about like maybe Haiti or something like that, but then Barbados, like I just never envisioned me having a bloodline in Barbados. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then having all these other bloodlines. So for me, it would be whatever or whoever was like that person on that boat. That's my bloodline, and tell them like, like your sacrifice wasn't for nothing. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure they didn't want to do that. Look how many people they say jumped off the boat. I was just looking at a history of I was doing research because I like posting controversial shit. That's just me. But I found a history of where they found that the slave ship owners, what they would do is basically like the airplanes today, they would overpack the planes, knowing that everyone wouldn't make it. But guess what they did with everybody that didn't make it? That was food. Think about that. So they like, everybody ain't gonna make it, and we ain't gotta pack fresh food because they gonna die out anyway. Wasn't no refrigeration back then, wasn't no freezers back then. So they were eating the black people that didn't make it to the whole passage. Because remember, it wasn't like a jet plane where you can make it over there in a day. This was weeks voyages. So yeah, so just learning more stuff like that. I would love to go talk to some like my ancestor from that.
I think I would go back to, I guess, the Black Panther Party meeting where they decided to introduce the free breakfast program. They were definitely onto something where it's just like, if children are hungry, like how can they thrive in school and be the best that they could be? So because they were so progressive, I would have loved to like add it on that, like, hey, but what they eat too will also make a difference and make us stronger. So I think that's where I would go in history.
Yeah.
I could have seen you collaborating with Angela Davis, right?
Oh man, that would have been
dope. and really putting it down and getting some vegan food up in there too as well. So that's good stuff. Yeah, no, so I'll tell you, it's no time like the present to introduce my idea. So I told you I had an idea for.
Wait. Before you do that,
yeah.
What's your person?
Gosh, man.
You can't ask the question and then not answer the question.
I can't. I mean, it's really hard because I'm a history lover. Like I love.
No,
history.
me too. But
I feed on it, and it's just like, geez, I don't know. I think, to be honest with you,
think about this. One person, not your favorite person. Just one person, not your favorite person.
I got it, but it's not going to be anything that's an aha moment for you. I would want to have been there when my dad was coming up, when my dad was going through the struggle, when my dad was younger. My dad was 40, and back in the day, 40-year-old having a baby is a little bit older. I was the pleasant surprise. I wasn't the mistake. I was the pleasant surprise. All right. My brother is 16 years older than I am. So
got you.
I always feel, I think part of the reason why I'm in this fight, right? I'm in this fight is because part of me feels still deep down, I'm still that little boy who feels like I lost out on my dad, right? I lost out on the time when he could advise me with the stuff that he had gone through. And he did a lot of great things and sacrifice. So I probably would have started there. And then I would have branched out to like all the other curiosities is what I would have done after that point.
Gotcha.
That's probably what I would have done. So
no, that's a good answer though. That is.
Yeah. But all right. So my idea is this is a biopic. This is a bio picture that's gonna mix veganism with history.
Okay.
So guess who it is who I want you all to do a pick on?
Dick Gregory.
That's right. Because what it will do, Dick Gregory's life, right? What that's going to do is that's going to tie in all the pieces. You can get the Coretta Scott King, you can get the Rosa Parks piece, you can get the Black Panther piece, and now you can tell the story from a different perspective and digging back in time. That's right there, that this isn't brand new for us. All right. And this idea of civil rights and what should be this activism has been there forever, and this is a part of it.
Yeah, no, that's a hell of a person to do it on.
Yeah, right. I mean, and it's just like it's, you know, the reason why it hit me is I remember when I was trying to figure out what I wanted to be. And so I am religious. So I was like, man, what should I do? I don't know what I should do. I said, okay, all right, if I should be a doctor, because my dad was always pushing me, be a doctor, lawyer, business person. That's why I respect you, Jasmine, because you're like, listen, I'm crushing the whole American dream idea. I'm doing me, and I'm gonna do it well to the best I can, right? And you've done that. And but in all honesty, I love what I do, right? I love all the iterations of what I do. And so I was like, man, what should I do? Should I really do this? And I said, okay, if I'm going to do this, I need to watch a show that's about a doctor, but it can't be no Doogie Howser or any of these other shows that literally is about a doctor. So I'm watching TV one day, and all of a sudden this movie, I started watching a stupid movie, just turned the channel. I didn't have it wasn't remote control, Jasmine, back in the day, like when you grew up. This is one I had to use
the pliers.
I had the plier, right?
Oh, I know about the pliers though.
So you were the remote control, is what you're saying.
All right, that's right.
You were the remote control.
I got a little mileage on me, sir.
All right. So I started watching this show, and next thing I knew, it was about a doctor taking care of somebody, and it hit me, and I was like, oh hell, I'm supposed to do this. And then at that moment, it didn't matter what adversity I went through. I was like, this is what I'm doing. I wrote in my yearbook, I'm gonna be chief of cardiology. I'm gonna do X, Y, and Z. And I was blessed. So, but you know, the whole point of it is the fact that, you know, we have to just kind of getting back to the whole iteration of things. It's just I think that role in Dick Gregory and all those guys, it's powerful. It's powerful if we can do that. It's powerful.
It is. And I like how you tied in everybody too, because he was that plug, as the kids use today. He was the plug. So like everybody knew who Dick Gregory was, from Muhammad Ali to whoever. They knew who Dick Gregory was, and I don't think they were all ready for his outgoing personality about what he believed in, because everybody was. And it's funny, I think that goes for all of us too when it comes to veganism. Everybody will agree with us on everything from social justice to the economy to the government. As soon as we mention veganism, oh, but that's bullshit. Like, wait, time out. You don't think all the other stuff we talked about is tied into that? And I think Dick Gregory was kind of on that page. Well, he was on that page already. Like, if you're going to look at the whole circle, don't just look at half of it. Like, walk all the way around to the other side of the circle and see what's really going on.
Yeah, and I think that's connecting people to people that they idolize is important. Because even me, like my friends, they know that I'm not a doctor. They know I'm not a scientist. They know I'm not a nutritionist. So when I say things to some people, it only holds but so much weight because they're not looking at me as someone they revere in that way. But then when you do have you do stories on the people like Dick Gregory and Angela Davis and Coretta Scott, that's when people start paying attention because they already they look up to these people. So
the cool part about that is you can hit it with humor too, right? So humor always cuts that thickness of like the tension of all the deep stuff. So
this is what I like to do.
Yeah.
This is what I like to do.
Yeah.
I'm a self-proclaimed comedian. I'm really not that funny, but I think I am. So I use a lot of comedy in what I do.
Right. John be having some wild Instagram posts. Like I feel John, some of your posts, I be having to get up off IG. Like I'll be scrolling and I hit one of his posts. I'm just like, you know what? Let me just get up off this gram. Like I can't even do the internet today. I can't do John today.
But it works. I get at least hilarious. One person a week. I get at least one person a week that be like, I never thought of it that way. Like I'm gonna crack a joke, but it's gonna be a lesson in there. And they like, man, I ain't never thought about it like that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, or when I post, like yesterday I posted this lady showing a chicken recipe. I said, man, like, ain't that crazy that you would put an unfertilized egg inside the breast or the tissue of that same animal that birthed it, and then not only that, you want to dip it in some more of that unfertilized embryo. And then I said in the caption, I said, what if we just call food what it really is? Because people are always mad, why you call them vegetables a hamburger? You think that's not what it's called? It ain't a hamburger. They called it hamburger. That ain't what it is. Like, so I like to do that. And they're like, man, if you keep posting stuff like this, I'm definitely going vegan. And I'll see that all in the comments. You'll get some vegans like, man, like, oh, I wish this came with a warning. I'm like, do you get mad at your TV when a food commercial come on? Like, you say, they like, don't get mad at me. It's the same thing. I'm appealing to, I realize that most of my following is not vegan. You know, it's shockingly, but when they did a study for me, like most of my following, over half my following is not vegan. So for all the vegans that get mad, that's cool. Y'all can leave. I no offense, but I can't make nobody more vegan than what they already are. My page is not for vegans, it's to help other people to become vegan. There's no tiers to veganism, even though some people think it is. Like people think you're tier 7 vegan and you're ultimate, you got a platinum card or whatever it is. It doesn't work like that. I'm trying to help other people go vegan. So you got to have some comedy in there. You know what I'm saying? It ain't got to be all seriousness and hateful.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? That is true. Because I remember one time, I mean, the whole thing is that too many people, whether or not it's in religion or anything else, they're preaching to the choir. All the people going to applaud. It's the same people all the time who go back and hear the same stuff. You're like, well, what about everybody else? Yeah. And so if I'm going to go to everybody else, that means I have to have a little bit of kind of a little edge, a little bit of a different approach where I can kind of, like you said, Jasmine, it's like, you know what, you come to my home. All right, I'm not coming at you like that. It's like, I'm gonna have stuff for you to kind of be able to try out and begin that conversation through taste.
Yeah. And I don't make the food. Like if they want something, like I'm not like cooking all the chicken and stuff. Like I bring it for, I order it, but
yeah. You better than me. I'll be honest. You better than me. Like you better than me. Cause they don't come to my house. You better not bring this. Now I would, but I'm the other way though. If I come to your house, I ain't like, yo, you better put that chicken up. I'm in your house. You do what you want. You come in my house though. And I never forget my brother-in-law wanted to cook a turkey at my house one day because I was like, who house? who house you plan on cooking that in? Because they going in my oven. Oh, well, I'll just cook it and I'll bring it. I was like, bring it where? Not bring it in here. Like, hey, when I come to your house, I don't tell you what to do. Because he was adamant about it. Like, come on, man, it's this. And I was like, first of all, I don't even celebrate Thanksgiving. You lucky you even coming over here for this. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's not even get into that history. Second of all, no. I don't know. It ain't happening.
Yeah, my fam, they'll get slick. Like, if they know, because before I wouldn't do that, but if they knew I was cooking, they'd be like, oh, okay, cool. We're going to eat before we come and then see you there. And it's just like, then like, I can't even get to the bait because they just come over there already good. And I'm like, y'all so rude.
Your family, God love them. God to love them. Love them. But all right, so tell us what is on tap for both of you next. I mean, John, you got the movie still that just dropped and everything like that. You got to tell people where they can find it, what you have cooking, what's on the shelf, where they can follow. If people don't know where to follow you, at least give them a shot. There's a few people under a stone who don't know.
That ain't even under stone. I'm not one of them people. Like, I actually have a friend. I'm not gonna say no names. That like, if people don't follow him, he's like, well, man, forget them then. I'm like, dude, like, everybody doesn't know who you are, bro. Like, it just doesn't work like that. Like, yeah, it's crazy. For me, you can find me at Badass Vegan on Instagram. Well, my Twitter's been suspended since last February. Hopefully, it'll be back this month. We'll see. We'll see if it's back. Pinterest.
Can you say the tweet? Can you say the tweet that got you suspended, or maybe we shouldn't, Chef AJ? I'm not sure.
You know the crazy thing is, this is the craziest part. It was a tweet. I reposted a tweet. It's these two kids. I want to say like 2016. Literally, the post went up like 2016. But I guess Twitter retroacted and went back in some tweets and found a tweet. I reposted it for these kids. I don't know if you remember, it was these two kids that were walking around with super soakers and they would slide one to a total stranger. They were just breaking the ice and showing, humanity and having fun. And then, but he had Pharrell's Because I'm Happy in the background. And that's what got flagged. And I guess my account got flagged a couple times for music already. So that was like the last draw.
Got it.
So they took me down for music. Like,
wow.
Like, y'all know me. At the end of the day, y'all know me. I don't post nothing hateful, nothing derogatory, nothing. In fact, I'm all about motivating. I might call you out while I motivate you, but I'm motivate you. And so my account's been gone since then. The movie, They're Trying to Kill Us, we had our 2-week screening process. We told everybody it was going to be 2 weeks, and for some reason, people are still mad. They're like, but I can't find it. And I said it was going to be 2 weeks. We told you 2 weeks. And you know how we are. We want to wait till the last minute or wait till after the deadline. And then we want to turn our test in and get mad at the teacher because the teacher won't take it. So right now we're actually working on distribution. There has been some interested parties. Don't know if it's going anywhere yet, but still working on some stuff. Finally got my book dropping. Got an email that it'll either be dropping fall of this year or winter of 2023. So one of the two. And I'm very blessed to be signed with Penguin Random House. So big name. And I told them when we signed the deal, when they were talking about all this, the Today Show and this and that, I said, oh, that's cool. I said, but I want to do an HBCU tour. I was like, I want to go directly to the people that this book is for. I said, the book is for everybody, but it's for Black people. And so they agreed to that. So doing that, I'm actually speaking at South by Southwest this year, which is crazy. And I'm speaking with Steve D'Angelo. If anybody's ever heard of Steve D'Angelo, he is like the godfather of cannabis, but he's vegan as well. So we'll actually be exchanging on the stage. So I'll be talking about the power of plant-based and how it'll heal the community. And he'll be talking about the power of cannabis and how it'll help heal the community. And so very blessed to be doing that. And I'll probably do a screener while I'm there at South by Southwest. So I think that's about it, man. Just loving life.
That's it, huh? That's it.
That's it. Yeah.
That's good stuff. Love it.
Endorsements, a book.
I mean,
that's it.
The clothing company.
No big deal.
The clothing company Peace on Mars. That's about it. That's it.
That's good stuff. Jasmine.
So I'm currently working on another documentary. Like my first one, I tackled like the type of food. So my next one, I'm tackling like people's relationships with food and the psychology behind that relationship. So that's going good. And I'm also working on like a kid's book because I do want to, do something for the younger Gen 2. So it's going to be a kid's book. It's called Queen Vegana and Princess Apple. And I'm trying to think of a male counterpart. And it's not necessarily just for vegans. It's something just to get kids eating vegetables. And that's what I have next. If you want to find me, I'm on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, like TikTok, Clubhouse. The only thing though is I have a really funny relationship with social media. So like I'm not like I'm there, but I'm not really like there. But that's where you
might post once a month is what she said.
Yeah. And I'll go through spurts. If I'm doing something real cool, I'll post a little, but for the most part, I'm like, eh. And I just want to say, John, congratulations on everything you are doing. I feel like I'm just on this Zoom with these two, like the epitome of Black men. Like this is like, I'm just saying, like I'm talking to this cardiologist and this like entrepreneur filmmaker. And I'm just like, oh my God. Like,
yeah, but you doing your thing though. You doing your thing. Like you have always done your thing. So I guess you could say we're like a little new Marvel superhero group that's forming. That's all it is.
That's it.
Oh my Captain Marvel.
There you go. That's all it is.
All right, so I want you both to, I'm gonna put you on the spot. I want you to leave the audience with two things that you want them to know. All right, John, you got elected first. Either about Black history, either about food, or something that they can to enact change, to be about change. Something. Drop some wisdom. Leave them with some wisdom.
All right, I'm gonna drop wisdom. So when it comes to health, I always tell people this. I said, people don't, and this isn't even a vegan thing. This is just a health thing. People wonder why I walk so much. And it's funny, I used to laugh at my mom all the time. My mom used to walk 2-3 miles a day. And I'm like, Mom, why are you walking? That ain't doing nothing for you. And I don't think my mom knew the science behind it, but she just knew that she had to walk. So I went to South Africa and it rang out in my head because while I was there, people were walking everywhere. They were walking 5-6 miles one way. And people were like, how do you know they walk 5-6 miles one way? I was like, because there was nothing for 5 to 6 miles, like, period. Like, there's nothing there. So when I started doing the research, people need to understand the importance of walking. I don't care how old you are, how young you are. The study, we always hear 10,000 steps. People don't realize this. When you talk about 10,000 steps, studies have shown that if you take 2,000 steps or less, your mortality rate is all the way up to 75%. 75% if you take 2,000 steps or less. I know people that barely take 200 steps. So I'm sure this is ringing a bell to them. Science has also proven that if you increase those steps from 2,000 to 5,000, your mortality rate drops down to 50%. Still high, but you've lowered it. If you take that up to 7,500 steps, you have lowered your mortality rate all the way down to 25%. But if you take that 10,000 steps a day, now mind you, it doesn't matter if you run, walk, crawl, whatever it is. If you could go fast, you can go slow, 10,000 steps, you take your mortality rate all the way down to 6%. 6%. We're not saying you got to be no supermodel, no health king, health queen. We're talking about getting your body in motion, because people don't realize all the activity that has to happen in your body, from your brain to your big toe, pinky toe, whatever, for you to take one step. So start incorporating steps. If you want to start running marathons after that, cool, but start getting those steps in. That is very important. Get those 10,000 steps in. It's funny, without even me trying now, I'm probably averaging around 25,000 steps a day, just with all I'm doing a day, and what was another thing to leave them with? You said health. I don't know what else to leave them with. All right, Jasmine, you leave them with something, then I'll come back. How about that?
Okay.
All right.
Let's see, teamwork. So,
teamwork, Marvel.
We're
We're gonna call it Marvel because it's Black.
So I would say my aunt, she, months ago, she got diagnosed on the road to being pre-diabetic. And so they wanted to, of course, put her on pills. Then she thought about, me, my film, my lifestyle. And this is years after, And so she tried plant-based eating. She went back to her doctor and they're like, yo, your blood levels are cleaning up. You're no longer on that route. So I would say when you make choices, something you might think like, oh, I'm just eating my Doritos, or, oh, I'm just eating my hamburger or whatever. You can be influencing someone that you love to continue a lifestyle that's killing them. Like if you're a parent and you're giving that stuff to your kid, like, it's like, sure, it might seem innocent. You might be setting your kid up to die from heart disease, diabetes, cancer at age 45, when you could give them a piece of celery and apples and make sure they live to be 100. So just know that these little choices that you think, or not even little choices, but these choices that you think are small can be life or death for the people around you.
Yeah. I don't know how I'm gonna come back after that one.
You got it.
I will say, okay, so I'm all about energy. I'm all about like putting out the most positive energy you can. I always say you got to fill your heart with love, because if you got a heart full of hate, I don't care what's going on in your life, you can't receive love. And a lot of times we look for outside sources. Going along with that, I will say it's all about the energy you put out, because there was an event it was Eat, Drink, Vegan. Back in the day, it was the Vegan Beer Fest. So this is like back in 2015. And there was a lady waiting to say hi to me. It's funny, I always got somebody waiting to say hi, whatever it is. And she's waiting to say hi. She waits to the end. And she comes to me, she's like, I just had to wait and say hi to you. I'm like, oh, well, nice to meet you. She's like, no, you don't understand. Like, your midnight motivations, if one really appeals to me, I print it out and I put it on this bulletin board. And I was like, wow, thank you. Like, that's crazy. She said, but I have to be honest with you. There was one night that you put up, don't worry about what other people think about you. You are loved. You might not know the person that loves you, but somebody out there loves you. And she said, that was the night I was actually going to kill myself. And I started tearing up. And yeah, exactly. And I was like, it's getting me now. And I was like, wow. And she was like, you never know who you're reaching. She's like, but keep going. And so that's why I always say, you never know what somebody's going through. And you might be having a shitty day, and you want to put that energy off on somebody else. Somebody might be having a worse day than you. And that one sequence where you could have been a jerk or been a kind-hearted person might be that one little moment that changes the whole perspective of their life. So remember the energy you put out. And that's what I mean to say about that. Yeah, they got me. Woo. Yeah, that was a day right there. And I'm like, I'm badass vegan. You got me crying out here in front of all these people.
And you gonna drop that at the end of the show with everything going on in the world with mental health and suicide.
Exactly.
And, I mean, it's just, I mean, that right there is really what we should be about, right?
Yep.
It's trying to encourage folks to be a better version of themselves and let them know that they're loved and loving them for who they are. And that's so thank you for that. That's I think we'll end on that note.
Jasmine, you got
before she has us all. John's gonna try to have us all up here buying Kleenex. Like, I mean, this dude right here in the show like that.
No, but I love John's answer as a conclusion. So.
But listen, it's been incredible. I know the folks out there have been blessed by having you both on. I think you've given insight into our culture, insight into your why, insight into your vantage point, and why all of us have this unique journey. It's a little bit different with us, with people of African descent, and our approach towards delivering the message of health and wellness and of life and activism and embracing others. And so thank you both for what you do. It's powerful.
Thanks for having us, man. Thank you, Chef AJ, too. Thank you.
No, thank you guys. It's like being around 3 movie stars.
Oh man,
you right there.
I like this shirt too.
You're up there with us. Like we got on top of that. You're in the trenches.
Me and Jazz got the same birthday.
Oh wow, that's trouble right there.
And Victoria Moran. There's a lot of great people born on that day.
Wow.
Wonder Woman's born on that day.
Yeah, Marceau and William Shatner. I don't know. I just
y'all got all bases covered.
Yeah. When's your birthday, John?
March 2nd.
Oh, well, okay.
We're Pisces.
Well, we're still in March. That's amazing.
Yeah, still Pisces. Yeah.
So you guys are awesome. Thank you so much. And Dr. Batiste, you have star quality. I'm surprised nobody snatched you up for your own show yet. You are just fantastic.
It's called the Cath Lab. the Cath Lab where I hit the grind. I'll be back there tomorrow morning. But it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's always fun. This is fun.
I told you when we spoke together in Kansas City, I was like, man, I ain't saying I'm the guru of speaking, but if y'all have ever heard him speak honestly on stage, it's another level. The boy is good. That's like they say, sexual chocolate. Boy's good.
No, I can tell that just by the intro. Like he did a 2 minute, I don't even think it was 2 minutes, like 30-second intro, and I'm just like, dang, why am I getting chills?
Well, that's why he's going to Saudi Arabia.
That's true.
Come on now. Now, I appreciate you guys, man. You know what? You inspire me. And I was supposed to have been, my dad was a Kappa, so I got to drop that right there because my wife is always saying, man, why don't you go back and do legacy just for your dad and your uncle? And they're the generation with Tom Bradley, Mayor Bradley back in the day. And Johnny Cochran. Yeah, that back in the day stuff. But this has been fun. Yeah. A lot of culture, a lot of work to do.
I'm sure Jasmine agrees. If you need anybody to hold your luggage while you go to Saudi Arabia, just let us know. We got you. I won't nobody touch your stuff. I got you.
Listen, both of y'all have went around the world twice. She just told me she was up hanging out in Bali for a month. I mean, come on now.
I was a little jealous. I was watching the timeline.
4 months.
Yeah, I was
a little jealous. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, she out in Bali, and then I see her in Vancouver, and she like, "What up, Jim?"
Y'all some international ones right there, man. I want to be like y'all when I grow up. One of these days.
Crazy.
But all right, Chef AJ. So y'all can find me. I'm gonna rebroadcast this for those of you out there on the Slave Food Project. And because you know what, we love what these folks are doing. So we want to blast it out to as many folks as possible. We want to support John in his upcoming film, or his film release rather, and Jasmine in your upcoming film. We want to make sure we get the world behind both of y'all to blow you up. So AJ, if there's a person who can do it, it's AJ right there.
Well, I want to be Don King, like promoting everything.
She's the plug. I'm telling you.
That's what I want to be, But thank you guys. This has been wonderful. And please come back tomorrow when we have another fabulous show in honor of Black History Month. Dr. Batiste will be co-hosting with another cardiologist. So they're going to have a heart to heart. Get it? With Dr. Montgomery. That's what I think we should call it.
I'm not Stephanie Powers, though. All right.
All right. Well, thank you guys so much. This is
thank you.
Thank you for your work.